My Little Book of Dinosaurs by Dougal Dixon. It's quite a picture, isn't it? Hi guys, it's Mrs. Bennett. I'm going to read another story about dinosaurs. It's actually a nonfiction book. So we see that table of contents that we've seen so many times in books, so that if we're interested in a certain dinosaur, we can go right to the page that it's at. Now, this book has got a lot of information, so I am not going to read every single part of it. It would just take too long. But what you or your family could do is, after you listen to what I've read, you could also pause the video, and then you could just really study all the different pictures. Nonfiction books have charts, and they have pictures, and they have words that tell about the pictures, and labels. We've done a lot of labeling, so it will just give you a chance to really look at all of the different information in the book, so that I'm not reading the whole thing. What is a dinosaur? There's that question mark. It's asking that question. Dinosaurs were a group of reptiles that lived hundreds of millions of years ago during the Triassic, Jurassic, and Cretaceous periods. Dinosaurs come in all shapes and sizes. Some ate meat, while others ate plants. Some walked on 2 feet, while others walked on all fours. So we have Archaeopteryx. Today's birds are related to meat-eating dinosaurs. Archaeopteryx was the very first bird. Archaeopteryx had the wings and feathers of a bird, but the head, hands, and tail of a dinosaur. Microraptor was a tiny feathered dinosaur. It is the smallest dinosaur that has ever been found. Microraptor had feathers on its arms, legs, and tail. It could not fly, but it was so small and light that it could glide from tree to tree. These are kind of interesting here because it tells you the size, when it lived, and what it ate. And then it compares the size of that dinosaur to, in this picture, a human being. So it gives you an idea of exactly what its size was. Spinosaurus was a huge meat-eating dinosaur. It ate mostly fish, which it grabbed from the riverbank. Spinosaurus had a huge sail of skin on its back. This was brightly colored so that it could show off to impress a mate. So, Spinosaurus. Tyrannosaurus was the biggest meat-eating dinosaur that ever lived. Tyrannosaurus walked on 2 strong back legs. It prowled through the forests of North America, hunting and eating other big dinosaurs. Velociraptor was the size of a fox and a deadly killer. It had a long, sharp claw on each back foot. In a fight, Velociraptor used its killer claws to attack prey. Oviraptor was a small dinosaur with feathers and a beak. It looked a bit like a bird. Oviraptor raided the nests of other dinosaurs. It would grab eggs in its big hands and break into them with its beak. Diplodocus was a long-necked plant-eating dinosaur. It was one of the longest dinosaurs ever. Diplodocus had a long, low-slung neck. It could use its tail like a whip to scare away predators. Diplodocus. Brachiosaurus was one of the tallest long-necked plant eaters. It held its head in an upright position, a bit like a giraffe. Brachiosaurus had long front legs and high shoulders so that its back sloped downward. That is why it held its head so high. Argentinosaurus was the biggest and heaviest dinosaur ever discovered. Argentinosaurus spent most of its life eating. It had to take in a lot of food to keep its huge body healthy. Iguanodon was a large plant-eating dinosaur. It usually walked on 4 legs, but could stand or run on 2. Iguanodon could eat low-growing plants, or it could sit back on its hind legs to reach leaves in the trees. Parasaurolophus. Let me say that one again. Parasaurolophus was a plant-eating dinosaur with a hollow crest that swept back from its head. That thing there. Several dinosaur species had crests on their head. They were all different shapes and colors so that dinosaurs could tell each other apart. Stegosaurus. Many plant-eating dinosaurs were covered in armor or had plates or horns to protect themselves. Stegosaurus had a double row of plates down its back, so those would be the plates. These guarded it from attacks. They were also used for showing off to impress other dinosaurs. Ankylosaurus was a large plant-eating dinosaur covered in bony armor. It had plates on its head, neck, and tail, and these were made of bone covered in horn and protected by Ankylosaurus. Read that again. These were made of bone covered in horn and protected Ankylosaurus from predators. It's like a big club on his tail there. Ankylosaurus. You see how big he is compared to a man in that chart. Triceratops was a 4-footed plant eater with a neck shield and horns on its face. So there's that neck shield and the horns. Triceratops was similar to a modern rhinoceros. It had a big body, thick legs, and horns on its face. Like a rhinoceros, it ate low-growing plants and leaves from bushes. Rhamphorhynchus. At the time of the dinosaurs, the skies were full of flying reptiles called pterosaurs. Rhamphorhynchus was one of the earliest pterosaurs. It had a hairy body and long, leathery wings. Each wing was supported by one enormous finger. I guess that's the finger sticking out. Kind of looks like a bat's finger sticking out a little bit. Quetzalcoatlus, let me say that one again. Quetzalcoatlus. As time went by, the pterosaurs became bigger and bigger. Quetzalcoatlus was as big as an airplane. Quetzalcoatlus had a short tail and broad wings. Using the wind, it was able to fly for days at a time without ever flapping its wings. You do wonder how they know these things. Ichthyosaurus was a small fish-like reptile with a long, pointed snout. Ichthyosaurus looked and lived just like a fish. It had a streamlined shape and pointed fins on its back and tails. Sorry. Make sure I'm not covering any of the words up here. Mosasaurus was one of the biggest reptiles swimming in the oceans. It preyed on seabirds, large fish, and other sea reptiles. Mosasaurus had a body shaped like a crocodile's, but with powerful flippers instead of arms and legs. It had a long snout lined with sharp teeth. How fossils form. We know all about dinosaurs thanks to fossils, pieces of dinosaur bone preserved in rocks. Fossils formed when a dinosaur's remains were covered quickly by mud or sand. As the mud and sand was packed down over time, it turned into rock. Inside the rock, the dinosaur's bones turned to stone. Dinosaurs Today. That's the title of that section. It takes a lot of work to get a fossil out of the ground and into a museum. Most museums make models of fossils to use in their displays. The original fossils are kept safely behind the scenes for scientists to study. And then often at the end of books, nonfiction books, we have a glossary. It's like a dictionary. A lot of the words that were in the book are explained here. Plus there's an index, which helps you find something you might want to learn about. So hope you enjoyed my little book of dinosaurs. I know when I read this for the first time, there were so many dinosaurs I felt like I'd never even heard of. And like I said, take your time, pause my voice, and really study those pictures. There's a lot of really great information there, and I hope you'll enjoy it. And I'm going to be asking you about your favorite dinosaurs, so maybe this will help you to pick one. All right, boys and girls, can't wait to see you next week.